My art goal for this year is to be able to paint a complete scene by putting my characters in a more developed background. I modeled through a few paintings, but most of them aren't quite there, and I feel my improvement is slow. It's already September now. There are not too many months left this year, so I think it's really time for me to do something about this. The painting I decided to do is inspired from a scene from the anime Yuru Camp, or Laid Back Camp. Season 1 came out during COVID time and it was very popular. I tried to watch it, but I gave up after just one episode thinking it's so slow because nothing was happening except that Nadeshiko got lost and was sleeping on a bench. This year though, when I heard Season 3 is coming out, I decided to give it another try. To my surprise, I actually really liked it. The pace is slow, but it was really relaxing. I enjoy the peaceful scenes of the girls enjoying their slow days at the camping site, cooking and wandering around. So I binge-watched 2 seasons before Season 3 came out. My favorite character is Nadeshiko, followed by Ren. I remember there was a scene where Nadeshiko joined Ren at the campsite with a view of Mount Fuji, across from a lake. I don't remember if it's in the morning, but I do remember there was another scene where all girls were excited to see some morning sun coming out from behind Mount Fuji. I'm a morning person and I love the tranquility in the morning air. It must be really serene to wake up in front of this view. So I have this idea in my mind that I want to convey on paper, but I don't know how exactly I should do it. In the past, I would just wing it, and if it doesn't look good, I'll discard it and move on to the next one. But this time, to make the most out of this painting, I plan to take my time to face all the problems I will run into, research, experiment, learn as I go, keep improving the painting until I'm limited by my current skill. As much as I was determined to take the time, I was being lazy with the planning, because I really just wanted to get to the experimentation part. So I took this poster as a reference, because it has all the elements I wanted: Mount Fuji, the lake, their tents, and my favorite girls. In my vision, they're viewing the morning sun, but in this poster, they're kind of the center of focus. So I turned them around and made them smaller, put them in front of the lake, looking at the mountain. I thought, okay, this was handy. It gave me the composition, so I can just move on to figuring out the color scheme. The time of the day in my vision is the very start of the sunrise. You can see some of the soft yellow glow from the sun peeking through from behind the mountain. But in the reference photo, looking at the shadow, it's more like late morning or afternoon. The sun is already fully out. So I tried to move the shadow around and made the mountain and figure darker. But that looks kind of dreary. The whole vibe of the anime is very uplifting, very calming, and that's what draws me to it. Lighting is an important part to convey the mood, and apparently strong contrast is not a good fit in this case. So I went to another extreme and tried the most colorful combination with blue sky, yellow light, orange tent, and even for the ground, I used purple for the dirt color. And I added the bike and painted almost all the details with the right colors. All elements are there with pretty colors, but they're just scattered around and there's no clear path for my eyes to follow. There's no composition, no cohesiveness. I think it's very childish looking, like a page from a scrapbook. By now, it should be pretty clear that the composition was the issue. It's because of the shortcut I took. But I still didn't want to admit it, so I tried a few more thumbnail sketches, trying to see if I could make the color right. As expected, nothing worked out. They all look awful. Well, this is what I get for skipping ahead. Composition is crucial. It can make or break a painting. I'm used to painting just a character, so there's a lot for me to learn when constructing a whole scene. So I finally decided to go back to the drawing board, figuring out the composition. I had this classic composition book, so I sit down and flip through it to get some inspirations. I always feel a landscape composition should work better with this mountain scene, so the first thing I did was to rotate the canvas. At the beginning, I still didn't give up on the idea of using all the elements in the reference photo. I thought I must keep the tents and the bikes in there, otherwise it won't be Yuru Camp. It won't be saying it's Ren and Nadeshiko. So I kept trying to position them differently to make a prettier arrangement. But they always seem redundant. I just can't find a good spot for them. If the tents are too close to the viewer, they grab too much attention, and because they don't have much detail on them, it's just a big blotch of color obstructing the views. If they're too far, the whole painting looks flat with no depth. So I finally decided to take them out, and same thing for the bike. I realized that what I wanted to convey is a mood, and to do that, I only need the mountain and the characters, nothing more. What's funny is that if I didn't take the shortcut at the beginning, this is probably what I would start with. Ren and Nadeshiko in front of a mountain. What a roundabout way to go back to square one. Goes to show that I better not be lazy in the future. But this is a great exercise. As I was experimenting, I suddenly thought of an idea. I was so fixated on creating a grand scene with more backgrounds, so I kept the characters small and really put the focus on the mountains and the spacious feeling. But if I want to bring the viewer into the scene, shouldn't I try to paint from the character's point of view? And what would that be? One thing I haven't changed yet is the size of the characters. What if I make the characters bigger? And that's how I finally got to the composition that I really liked. And when I stare at it, it feels like I'm there with them. I was very happy with this, so I did some quick tests on the color using this new composition and rushed to make a final painting on a larger piece of paper. I thought I got it. I applied what I learned in those experiments, and it did turn out to be better than all of my failed attempts. It's finally a cohesive scene, conveying what I wanted to say. But something is still not quite there for me. I feel there is still room to improve. For it to be able to be a standalone piece on my wall, to be appreciated over and over again, I think I need to do more. This is pretty frustrating because I don't know what I should do. But I told myself this is exactly when the growth can happen, if I can figure something out. I put this painting in a frame right beside my dining table, and I kept looking at it whenever I passed by, thinking what could be done better. I kept doing this for a few days, and thinking maybe it's the brushwork. I put a lot of attention on the overall look, finally adjusting colors everywhere to make it cohesive. But in this process, I lost the looseness, which is what I love and one of the key components of my style. When I paint just a character, I can be pretty confident because I'm familiar with the subject, and there's always a face to be the center of focus. But in this painting, there's much more to consider because of the background and because I'm only doing a back view. Although they're the center of focus, to make it cinematic, I think I need to lose some edges. I don't need to paint the full details. So to test this out, I tried to paint just the girls on some scrap paper just to get the feeling back of painting characters. Ren is easy to paint, but Nadeshiko needs some practice. My biggest struggle was to paint her white jacket in this lighting. I want to make her stand out, but not like in a cutout. If I make the background too dark like in this one, she pops, but the painting looks kind of dreary and sad. So the sky should be a cool clear blue giving a translucent look. I want Nadeshiko to be happily jumping in this crisp, slightly chilly, and fresh morning air. To get a feeling of tranquility and to show that we're looking at a brand new day with hope. It's an overall positive vibe. I don't think a strong contrast works. Although this shows clearly that morning sun is shining on them, it is too dramatic. Overall, the color should be more muted and shifting ever so slightly between objects, looking calm and serene. I usually paint really vibrant colors, so this is a pretty different look for me. Different vibes require different color scheme to convey, so I'm really happy I get to try and learn from this. Also, to make the characters more dynamic, especially for Nadeshiko's pose, I need to give up some details, and to make sure I direct people's eyes to the right spots. This is also contributing to the hazy feeling of the morning. Everything shouldn't be super sharp. I definitely need to keep the edge lighting on their clothes, showing that they're facing the sun, but they should be a softer glow, not super sharp and defined. Alright, the painting is finally coming together, and I'm pretty confident to say that I improved compared to my initial one. From all those failed exercises, I got more familiar with the subject, so my brushwork got looser as well, to really express myself. So what do you think? Which one do you like better? This is exactly the kind of exercise I always wanted to do, but it feels like a luxury. This requires learning on the spot and a lot of experimentations, and of course, not being lazy. Whenever you come up with an idea, you have to sit down and try it out. This took me almost 2 weeks, and this means I'll be slow in producing content for my channel and creating fewer paintings. But I'm really glad I did it, because I learned so much from just one painting, and it helps me to grow as an artist in the long term. I'm sure there's more room to make it better, but I think I explored everything that I can within my capability, and now I'm limited by my own skills, so I approve myself to move on. If you have any suggestions on how I can improve or have any questions, let me know in the comment. Alright, thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.